Good evening, I hope everyone's well today. Thank you for watching, it is appreciated as always. If you find value in this video, consider liking and subscribing, it does help the channel out a lot. We've had a bit of a update regarding the by-election that we had in Runcorn and at Helsby earlier this year. Many of you may know that there was a legal challenge brought to law by I think it's Graham Moore of the English Constitution Party. We've had an update today, so I'm going to bring you the first image here. Reform UK by-election win legal challenge, as legal challenge rejected. This is misleading because the by-election result wasn't a challenge against Reform UK. It was actually against irregularities in the process. We'll get to that in a moment or two. Sarah Poachin, my MP, she did put out a tweet on X earlier on today regarding this, actually calling out the BBC's misleading headline, so we'll get to that first of all. You would have thought that with $1 billion legal threat from the President of the United States, Donald Trump, the BBC may be a bit more careful. This is a completely misleading headline. There was no legal challenge to me, my campaign, or that of Reform UK. The case brought by the English Constitution Party tested whether Halton Borough Council, Cheshire Police, and the Royal Mail had fulfilled their statutory electoral duties properly. This is simply not good enough, BBC. That's what Sarah's got to say about it. Now, if you look from the by-election itself, the actual by-election result itself, Reform UK pipped it with 6 votes, as you're all aware, and at the very bottom was Graham Harry Moore of the English Constitution Party. I didn't vote for them, but I am a fan of fairness, and I am a fan of giving everybody in the country a fair shake. Whether you're a huge political party like the Tories or Labour, a new political party like Reform UK, or a smaller political movement or party that's not got a lot of traction like the English Constitution Party. Whether I agree with them politically or not is besides the point. Alright? It's giving them a fair shot and a fair shake. Just to give you a bit more clear information regarding the results, as you see the English Constitution Party is at the bottom with 50 votes. There has been irregularities with the English Constitution Party, the way that their votes are tallied. On several elections, they have only got 50 results. I find that odd personally, and I find that peculiar, and it does beg further questions, which is why this legal case and challenge came in. And we've had some information, as I say, that's actually been put out in the media, and I want to go through that as well. Let's start the article here. A legal challenge to the results of a by-election won by Reform UK earlier this year in Cheshire has been dismissed by judges. The parliamentary election petition was brought by the English Constitution Party's Graham Moore, who received the fewest votes of the 15 candidates who stood in Runcorn and Helsby. May's by-election, called after ex-Labour MP Mike Amesbury stood down following his conviction for assaulting a constituent, was won by Sarah Poachin with 12,645 votes, just 6 more than Labour. I've got a feeling it would have been more if another recount had been completed, and that's just my view. After his legal challenge was dismissed, Moore was ordered to pay the 2 respondents' costs. Ms Poachin was acting, and the acting returning officer Stephen Young. And then we get into this here, the next part of the article. Mr Moore's request to have the result declared void for an independent recount to take place was initially made against Cheshire Police and Royal Mail. Both cases were dismissed earlier this year, but senior judges ruled that the trial of the petition could still go ahead, with Ms Poachin and Mr Young were named as respondents. After the 3-day election court hearing in Chester, Mr Justice Spencer and Mr Justice Bryan heard Mr Moore speak about the statistical impossibility of receiving 50 votes, which he said exactly the same number he received when he stood in a 2016 Tooting by-election. Mr Moore, who represented himself, told the court, "I was the only one who had exactly 50 votes, and exactly 50 votes in 2016. Both of these counts were run in effect by Labour people in high Labour areas. Marxism comes to mind." He's not wrong. He's not wrong. I would call bullshit. I would call this as highly suspect as well as highly suspicious, and I completely agree with what he's saying here. and I don't vote for him, but I am a fan of fairness. So we'll continue. He claimed he saw an estimated 116 votes cast for him in the Runcorn and House B counts, and suggested alleged fraud could have been carried out by Labour despite the party's defeat. But the judges who viewed the video footage of the court had heard from Deputy Return Officer Penny Housley, who ruled Mr Moore had been mistaken in his belief. Mr Moore also claimed that a full recount had not been held when it was revealed how close the by-election had been. Rather, he suggested bundles of votes were recounted instead of the entire vote. After rejecting this claim, judges found that the full recount had taken place. They additionally ruled they were satisfied that there had been no act or omission by the returning officer or any other person in breach of their official duties. I would argue, and I can say this, as I say, the case has been dismissed or whatnot, but I can say this now. If they were doing a recount, would it be a recount for all of the votes, or would it be for the ones in contention? As we look at the actual vote here, if we look at the vote, where is it now? This one, I think, yeah. No, hang on, one underneath. If we look at the vote here, are they just going to recount the two that are in contention at the top, or are they going to vote every single one? Are they going to go through every single one yet again? That's the question. Now, Graham Moore, if I understand his position, he's not contesting reform run. He's contesting the validity and the transparency of the election. And I agree. Even if it was close, even if reform still would have won, I'd argue, by more votes, a full recount should occur. And that's the principle of fairness. And then we'll go into what it finally says here. They additionally ruled that they were satisfied there had been no act of omission by the returning officer. Blah, done that one. The judge stated there was no sleight of hand and there was no chaotic scene at the count. The count and all parties thereof were properly observable, and the candidates and their counting agents. Justice Bryan and Justice Spence, who noted their judgment that 35k had been raised by Mr Moore through crowdfunding accounts, assessed Mr Young and Miss Poachin's respective costs at 45k and 30k. Election petitions can be lodged by candidates or electors, but guidance from the Electoral Commission warns there are costs attached and independent legal advice is recommended. So we'll leave that there. I feel sorry for this Graham guy. I really do feel sorry for him. He deserves a fair shake, and anybody in the country deserves to be treated the same. The principle of our constitution, the principle of the way the United Kingdom is governed is there's only one person who we all answer to, which is the king. I'm level pegging with two-tier Kia. Okay, he's no different from me. I'm no different from him. That's the entire principle of our constitution, at least in theory. This is why we get media bias. This is why we get snobbery accusations and election inferences and legal cases. People do not feel that they are treated fairly. Miss Poachin, my MP, the best MP we've had in 50 years, let's face it, not a high bar because she doesn't hit out at her constituents. She put out a video about this as well, so I'm going to play that video now.
I wanted to share this video with you today. So this morning at Chester Crown Court, there was a judgment passed that dismissed a claim by the English Constitution Party that the election in May had not been fairly conducted. The claim was not brought against myself or Reform UK. It was actually brought against a combination of the Royal Mail, the Council and the police in the way that they conducted the election. Now, I haven't been able to talk about this case whilst it's been ongoing because, of course, you're always at risk of contempt of court if you do that. But now we've had the judgment today, I can say to you that the election has been upheld as having been conducted fairly and properly by all of those parties that I mentioned. Costs have been awarded against the English Constitution Party for bringing this case. And in a way, it's been an example of proving that our elections are run democratically and transparently. And if you want to challenge, then you can challenge. But I'm very happy with this ruling and what's happened today. So now we can move on. And I just wanted to make this video because I know there's been some headlines which may have been misleading or worrying to some of you, saying that there was a challenge to my win, but that's not the case, and now we move forward.
So there you have it. Me personally, as I say, this isn't about slagging anyone off. This isn't about dismissing Mr. Moore personally. He seems like a nice guy. I've seen a lot of his videos, and I am a fan of fairness. There's a lot of people locally that have commented online, not on my channel, but on the news reports and whatnot, saying it's sour grapes, he's bitter, he's a joke. I don't buy any of it, and I don't like that kind of language or rhetoric anyway. Even if he had a shot in hell's chance of winning the election, everybody deserves to be treated absolutely fairly. That is the principle. That's how I am, and I am fair-minded. Everyone deserves the same shot at winning an election. From this hearing and from this ruling, there seems to be nothing about what happened with Royal Mail, why they didn't deliver his leaflets. I was in the constituency. I received nothing from the English Constitution Party at all. I know the broad strokes of what they were about, but me personally, I still didn't receive any of the election literature. So it is curious. Maybe there are bigger questions that need to be answered. It was a two-shot race between the Tories and Labour, usually in a particular constituency. What peculiarities are there for the smaller parties? What measures are in place to make sure that they are treated fairly? And these are the questions that I have. Now, if you like this video and you think I'm onto something, make me aware. I hope I've not been biased. I hope I've been even fair-minded, but I am deeply suspicious of the Labour councils and how they conduct their elections. I'm deeply concerned. I'm also deeply concerned how the Tory-run councils run their elections locally as well. It's been a uniparty for 100 years, and further scrutiny, in my opinion, is needed. Like and subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video later on today. Have a good evening.